Alright, there we are. Alright, this is the Creepy Villain MMA show. I'm Creepy Uncle Nick, that's Dylan the Villain. I wanted to start off by saying congratulations to Dylan the Villain and Michael the Gazelle Azal on graduating high school. Dylan the Villain is going to be going off to college, who will be majoring in wrestling and minoring in education and probably chicks too. Anything with him with chicks is bound to be pretty freaking minor. Raya, do not worry. If you get lonely, I'll be willing to fill in where Dylan left off. Come visit Creepy Uncle Nick. Starting off, big news for the weekend is I'll let you do it.
The big news for Strike Force, you got two big fights in there. You got former champion King Mo fighting Roger Gracie. Kind of interesting, wrestler versus a grappler. And then middleweight championship, Jacare Souza is fighting Luke Rockhold. He usually fights on the Strike Force Challenger card, so not real known, but still a good fight. And just a note that this week the prelims will also be on Facebook and they'll be on YouTube. So check them out.
Huge, another place to watch the fights on. I think that's huge. Also, the UFC might be buying out G4 channel and getting off of Spike TV. I kind of like it, personally. I think that way they'll have their own channel to play whatever the heck they want on there. So I kind of think it's a good idea. But not very many people have G4 as much as Spike, so we shall see. Also, Hughes is going to be fighting Sanchez in UFC 135. I think that's going to be a good matchup, and I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, good fight. Next we have the review of last weekend's Ultimate Fighter finale, and good fights, I thought.
Yep.
Real good fights. In the main card, in the main event, there was Ramsey Mitchell versus Tony Ferguson for the Ultimate Fighter. And
I picked that one wrong. That's garbage.
I picked that right. I picked Tony Ferguson, and Tony Ferguson won actually by knockout.
Yeah.
It was a good knockout actually. Flipped him with a right hook, and then he dropped. So it was a good fight, good finish. He was out, couldn't get up for a while, but it was a good fight. And next fight, which was my favorite,
yes,
Anthony Pettis versus Clay Guida, and Guida pulled off the decision.
I thought it was a good fight. I'm a big Guida fan.
Me too.
I didn't think it's as entertaining as some of his old fights, but I thought it was a very good fight, and I was really glad to see Guida lasting through so many submission attempts. I give Anthony Pettis a lot of credit. He was doing a lot of throwing submissions, triangles, all sorts, and then that Kapuri kick that he threw off the ground, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But Guida did a good job of defending all of it, and I thought he deserved the victory on that one. A lot of people thought it was laying and praying because he was working so hard on defending the takedowns submissions and stuff like that.
He was landing shots too. I noticed it during the fight. I was thinking, wow, he's actually one of those guys that actually hits off the ground instead of like Shamar Bailey, who just lays there the whole time.
Good point, because I wanted to bring that up. As Shamar Bailey's grounding skills was not so good.
Yeah,
that was the definition of laying prey.
Yeah,
and it was. I was kind of upset to see him win because he was cocky.
Yeah, he's very cocky, and Anthony Pettis was controlling wrists, and there was a lot of times where I was screaming on the TV, thought it almost got a triangle attempt, almost got like an armbar attempt, but Guida managed to pull it out. There was one time where he was so close to getting armbar, but then he just turned.
I was surprised on how easy it was for Pettis to control Guida's wrist.
Yeah,
I was a little surprised on that, but it was a good fight. Ed Herman took on Tim Creator.
Yeah.
Creator. That was a pretty good fight too. It was a good knockout.
Yeah. Ed Herman hit him with a right, then he dropped it and just landed a few bombs, and then the referee stepped in. It was a good fight. It was a big one for Ed Herman coming off not fighting since 2009.
I actually picked that one right. I don't believe you did.
I know it's Creator.
Yeah. This one was actually. I thought it was going to be a garbage fight. This is one of those fights where I was wondering why it was going to be on the main card. But Kyle Kingsbury versus
Fabio Maldonado.
Is it like this fight?
Yes.
Maldonado. Huh.
Nope.
What's going on?
Well, I thought that was a great fight. Kingsbury looked freaking huge compared to the other guy. He looked like a heavyweight.
Yes,
But
Kingsbury was huge.
his technique is still not there, but I think he could be good one of these days if he, keeps training or whatever. But Mo gave him a huge fight, and
Yeah, a lot of body shots too, man.
Yeah,
Man, he
yeah.
was just completely destroying his body.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
and his eye was
Yep.
looking like a freaking bag, after the end of it. And it was a good fight. Like he said, it was his toughest fight ever, and I thought it was a good fight. Last fight was Chris Cove versus Chuck O'Neal.
Take this one wrong again.
Yeah.
And I picked it right, Chris Cope. Chris Cope, that was an outstanding fight.
I thought it was really good.
Yes, he looked so much better in that fight than what he did on the Ultimate Fighter.
I thought his striking looked phenomenal.
Yeah, he looked really good. I don't know what his wrestling's like, but I'm interested to see it, and I'm interested to see him fight again. He looked good, I thought.
Yeah, it was good stuff. And
he had really good stand-up.
Yeah, he had really good movement and stand-up, so yeah, I was real impressed. And also on the card, on the prelims, you had Josh Gripsy versus George Roop. A little bit of a shocker to me. Roop won by stoppage. What was it? TKO?
TKO, yep. And I was actually pretty surprised on that one, too. Roop's been doing pretty good. He's on he should be getting pretty close to the title shot, I think.
Well, he lost to Hominick his last fight.
Oh, that's right.
But it was a big win over Gripsy. Gripsy was top guy. Now he's lost 2 straight, so we'll see where he goes and where George Roop goes. And also, on the other undercard, you had Jeremy Stevens versus Danny Downs from Wisconsin. And
Downs was tough, man.
Yeah, that's a tough kid. He looks like a kid, and he gave him a fight.
Yeah, Jeremy Stevens was, again, like I was saying, he was just too much. He's pressure, too much.
Yeah, good stuff. And now we got, it's time for us to Affliction. And today we are going to tell some of our favorite fights. Not so much, the best ones for the sport, but ones that we like personally. And I'll let Creepy Uncle take it away.
This one was kind of tough for me because I could pick about 1,000 fights. So I wound up trying to pick fights where I was screaming at the TV, fights that really had me amped. So I guess I'd have to. Don Fry versus Yoshihiro Takayama was an outstanding fight. If you didn't like that fight, there's something. That was fantastic, man. Where they got into the hockey style fight where they doing the dirty boxing. Yes, that was fantastic. That was one of those where that was just screaming at the TV. There's a lot of them that I could pick. I really like the Diego Sanchez versus Clay Guida. That was a great fight. Most of Clay's fights I could put on here, but I had to pick one, and that was it.
Yeah.
That was an awesome fight, though, man. That head kick in the beginning, and then I thought personally, Guida won, or it should have been a draw.
Yeah.
But
awesome stare down.
Yes. That was fantastic, too, man. Another one of my favorite ones was it was hard for me to pick a Lesnar fight, which one I liked the best. But the one I picked was Carwin, Lesnar versus Carwin.
Yeah.
Because Lesnar got his ass kicked. I mean, he got destroyed the first round. Yes.
Carwin was throwing bombs.
Then he wound up gassing and coming back from it, and wound up submitting Carwin in the second round. I was screaming in the bar. I was at a bar on that one. I was screaming in the bar, and then the second one, once he freaking threw on that triangle, the head arm triangle, I was just jumping, man. I was so freaking amped. Is this recording?
Yeah.
Okay. And then
9 minutes.
Another one that I really liked was Randy Couture versus Tim Sylvia.
Yeah.
I'm an anti-Tim Sylvia guy, and I am a Randy Couture guy. So when I think Couture hit that big freaking shot right at the beginning, go flying, I was yelling. My last one that I had to pick on there was probably, I would have to say, the Chael Sonnen versus Anderson Silva fight. That was another one where I was screaming. Yes, the whole, and then when he
so
freaking,
happy.
I thought Anderson Silva was finally going to lose him to a wrestler, and I'm like, yes! And then he pulled off that big triangle, and I was
like, no!
Yes, those were probably, there's a lot of other fights that I love, but those are probably the ones that I really remember screaming at. That were my favorites.
Some of my picks were Guida versus Huerta.
Love that one.
Guida was winning both rounds, and then hit him with a hard shot, and then last round, Huerta came back and submitted Guida at the very end. So
Yep.
I was
That's on
screaming
my
at
list
that
of
one.
favorites too.
Also, a more recent one in the WEC, Chang Sun Jung versus Leonard Garcia.
That is another one that's on my favorites list.
Yeah. Not so much a technique fight, but just
Non-stop
throwing
action.
bombs.
Yes, man. Non-stop action.
Hitting as hard as he could for like 3 full rounds.
Garcia's a good one. He's got 3 fights on there against Huerta and against the heck is that one guy from the Ultimate Fighters, Namfan?
Yeah.
Those are all great fights. He always has fantastic fights. He's not technical, but he's good.
And my last one. I like the last fight, Sanchez versus Campman. I thought Campman had real good technique, and then Sanchez was just going wild like he always did. And then at the end, Diego's face was just so messed up and bloody up. And then when you see his hand getting raised, it's like, wow, holy shit, this guy actually fucking pulled it off, you know.
Sanchez is one of those guys where almost every one of them, there's a few fighters.
Yeah.
Sanchez, Guida, Nick Diaz, all of their fights to me are usually just great. And even Leonard Garcia, a lot of his fights are really good too.
Yeah. And just to note, one of my other favorite fights is Caleb Starnes versus Nate Quarry. Great fight. Go check it out.
Gabe Rudiger versus Melvin Gillard.
Yes.
Those are great ones.
All right. And now we throw down, and we are going to pick our winners for this weekend's fight card, UFC 131, Junior Dos Santos versus Shane Carwin. Winner gets the number 1 gets the champ, Cain Velasquez.
Yeah.
Carwin, former interim champ, I don't know the interim titles, but he has wins over Mir, good one, Gonzaga and Christian Welch, and Junior Dos Santos has wins over Gonzaga, Roy Nelson, Verdum, Struve, and Prokop. And for me on this one, I had a real hard time picking this one. I could see either guy winning. Both their stand-ups are really good. I know Carwin has the wrestling, but
I haven't really seen it yet.
Yeah, we haven't really seen it, but so I'm gonna go with Junior Dos Santos by TKO. What's your second one?
I'm gonna pick. I agree with him on almost all of his points. Either one of them can knock either one of them out. I'm gonna go with Carwin with wrestling. I think he's gonna get over his stamina issue. I think he's been doing the right things.
Yep. And next fight, co-main event, Kenny Florian versus Diego Nunes. Nunes has wins over Rafael Assunção and Mike Brown. And Florian has wins over Joe Stevenson, Clay Guida, Takanori Gomi, Joe Lozon, Roger Huerta, and Sam Stout. And, I gotta go with Florian. I thought he was one of the best top 5, lightweights in the UFC, and now that he's going to 145, I think that's a good weight for him. So I'm gonna have to go with Florian by unanimous decision.
I'm picking Florian, but he could have too much of a tough weight cut, and he could gas. But I'm gonna still think he's good.
Yeah. Next fight, you have heavyweights John Olav Einamo versus Dave Herman.
Kitty Herman.
Yeah. And I'm gonna have to go with Dave Herman because John Einamo has had 2 fights since '06 and only 1 fight. Or 2 fights since '03 and 1 fight since '06, so I'm going to have to go with Dave Herman.
Yeah, I'm going with Dave Herman too for the same thing of ring rust.
Yeah, and next fight, real good one, Mark Munoz versus Damian Maia. Maia has wins over Corey, Dan Miller, Chael Sonnen, and Ed Herman. Munoz has wins over CB, Aaron Simpson, and Kendall Grove. And I'm going to have to go with Mark Munoz. Even though I could see him getting caught by Maia, I think Munoz has good stand-up and could wrestle his way for a victory.
Yeah, actually, I picked Munoz too.
Yeah.
Wrestling seems to be the antidote for jiu-jitsu.
Yep. And Donald Cerrone versus Wagner Hosha. And I'm going on the upset. I'm picking Wagner Hosha. I think Cerrone has too much to lose, and I think I could see this being an upset.
I can't believe you graduated high school with a pick like that. That's stupid.
No, I can see it.
Donald Cerrone. He's better. Donald Cerrone.
All right. Last prelim, Sam Stout versus Eve Edwards. I'm going to have to go with Sam Stout. Better overall game.
Sam Stout, bigger, stronger, heavier hands.
Sweet. Thank you.
Peace out. Check us out on YouTube
and Facebook.